So keep his heart. Magnetic love sparked some really great conversations for you, huh?
It did, some really meaningful ones for sure.
That's awesome. And it even gave you some new ideas on how to approach your own relationships.
Yeah, definitely.
I think a lot of people are looking for ways to build those kinds of stronger, more fulfilling connections.
For sure.
Kind of unpack some of the key insights from the book, or
Absolutely.
maybe even offer some advice on how to put some of those ideas into action in your own life.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in.
You mentioned feeling inspired to improve in areas you hadn't even considered before.
Yeah.
What really stood out to you?
Well, one of the biggest takeaways for me was how the book reframes this whole idea of respect.
Okay.
It's not just about common courtesy, like saying please and thank you.
Right.
It's about understanding respect as a core emotional need for men, much like women crave emotional security.
So it's kind of like on that same level.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's deeper than just, surface level politeness.
Right.
What does that kind of deep respect actually look like in a relationship?
Well, that's where the book gets really interesting. It gives specific examples like trusting his judgment, valuing his contributions, and even just speaking to him in a way that acknowledges his strengths. It's about making him feel seen and appreciated for who he is.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
I mean, we all want to feel valued, right?
Absolutely.
But it seems like there's a communication piece to this too.
Absolutely. The book goes into a lot of detail about how the way we communicate can either build respect or can chip away at it.
Hmm.
For instance, it suggests avoiding criticism in public, acknowledging his efforts even if the outcome wasn't perfect, and being mindful of his time. It's all about creating an environment where he feels safe to be himself and invest more in the relationship.
That's interesting
Yeah.
because I can see how that would be important.
Mhm.
If you're feeling constantly criticized or belittled, you're probably not going to feel very open or loving, are you?
Exactly. When someone feels genuinely respected, they're more likely to open up emotionally and really connect on a deeper level.
So respect is almost like a gateway to emotional intimacy.
That's a great way to put it. The book really emphasizes that connection.
Okay.
It defines emotional intimacy as the ability to share your deepest thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment,
Okay.
creating that safe space for vulnerability.
We all crave that feeling of being truly understood, don't we?
We do.
But how do you actually create that safe space?
Yeah.
It sounds kind of abstract.
It does, but the book actually gives some very practical advice on this. For example, it talks about responding to your partner's vulnerability with curiosity rather than judgment,
Okay.
avoiding harsh reactions, and even respecting his silence when he needs time to process his emotions.
So it's being patient and understanding that everyone processes things differently.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that emotional intimacy is a two-way street. You need to be willing to be vulnerable and share your own thoughts and feelings too.
There's that vulnerability piece again. I guess it really is the key to building that trusting connection.
It is.
Did the book talk about anything else related to emotional intimacy?
Yeah, it also touched on understanding different love languages. This is how we express and experience love.
Right.
And this can be really helpful because what makes one person feel loved might not resonate with another.
Totally.
So the book encourages you to communicate your own needs and try to understand your partner's love language too.
That's so important. It's like you're speaking different languages if you're not communicating effectively.
Yes.
You're going to miss each other completely.
Completely. And then there's the whole issue of emotional triggers. We all have them, right?
Yeah.
And the book offers practical advice on identifying your triggers, responding calmly when they're activated, and then repairing quickly to minimize damage to the relationship.
It's so easy to just react instead of respond.
It is.
And learning to do that can save you a lot of heartache.
It can.
Okay, so we've covered the foundation of connection, the power of respect, and the importance of emotional intimacy. It sounds like Keep His Heart really dives deep into the emotional side of relationships. But what about the physical side?
Yeah, the book definitely acknowledges the importance of physical connection, but it broadens the definition beyond just sex.
Okay, that's interesting. How so?
Well, it emphasizes the importance of small, consistent gestures. Things like holding hands, cuddling, and just making time for intimacy, whether it's sexual or not.
So it's those little things that can really make a difference.
They do.
Just staying connected throughout the day, not just in the bedroom.
Exactly. And when it comes to the bedroom, the book offers advice on keeping things fresh.
Uh-huh.
Things like open communication about your desires, breaking out of routines and embracing your confidence.
So it's all about keeping that spark alive.
Absolutely. And the book really highlights the power of non-sexual touch to reinforce care and affection.
Mhm.
A hug, a back rub, even just a gentle touch on the arm. Those gestures can be incredibly meaningful.
It's like a wordless way of saying, I care about you.
Exactly. It's another layer of communication.
Yeah.
Way to show love and support without saying a word.
It sounds like Keep His Heart is a pretty comprehensive guide to building a deeper connection.
It is.
What about the other chapters? Are there any other key takeaways you found valuable?
Oh, absolutely. The book covers a lot of ground. There are chapters on building unshakable trust, aligning your goals and values, turning conflict into connection, which is a really valuable skill,
Right.
and even navigating those external pressures that can put a strain on relationships.
Wow, it seems like this book really covers it all.
It does.
You also mentioned something about a children's book called I Know I Can Fly and some book bags. Is
Yes.
there anything you want to share about those?
The book is about a young boy who is just determined to fly, even when people tell him it's impossible. It's a beautiful story about believing in yourself and overcoming obstacles. And the book bags are just a fun addition. We ordered a couple from the website, and our kids absolutely love them.
That's awesome. So back to Keep His Heart. It seems like you found it to be a pretty valuable resource.
Definitely. It's full of practical advice and thought-provoking insights that can really benefit anyone who is seeking a deeper, more fulfilling connection.
It's amazing what we can learn from books, isn't it?
It is.
They can offer a different perspective and help us see things in a new light.
Absolutely. And Keep His Heart really emphasizes that creating a fulfilling relationship isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about understanding, respect, and genuine connection.
Those are definitely the foundations of a love that lasts.
They are, and this book does a great job of breaking down those concepts into actionable steps.
It sounds like a must-read for anyone who wants to understand relationships, especially from a male perspective.
I definitely recommend it. It's filled with insights that can help you create a more fulfilling and lasting love.
Well, before we move on, I have one more question about Keep His Heart that I'm really curious about.
Of course. What is it?
The book really emphasizes respect as a man's core need. What are some practical, everyday ways we can show more genuine respect for the important men in our lives, starting today?
That's a great question, and one that I think is worth exploring in more detail. It's interesting, right? We often think about grand gestures when we talk about respect, but the book really highlights those like everyday actions and interactions.
Yeah, what are some of those smaller ways to show respect, but maybe more impactful ways?
Well, one thing the book emphasizes is really listening to what he has to say,
Okay.
not just kind of waiting for your turn to speak.
Right.
It's about being present in the conversation, making him feel heard and understood.
Active listening, which is a skill in itself.
It is. And the book suggests practicing reflecting back what you've heard to make sure that you understand his perspective.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it shows you're paying attention. It also helps prevent misunderstandings.
Yeah, because sometimes we're so busy thinking about what we're going to say back that we don't really absorb what the other person is saying.
Right. And another aspect of respect the book brings up is trusting his decisions
Okay.
and capabilities.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean blindly agreeing with everything,
Right.
but it's about giving him the space to make choices
Yeah.
and learn from his own experiences.
I think that's a tough one for a lot of people.
Yeah,
It's easy to fall into that trap of wanting to fix things
it is.
or offer advice when it's not really needed.
Right, especially if we think we know better.
Exactly. Exactly.
But the book argues that men often feel respected when their partners trust their judgment without, second guessing them.
Yeah.
It's about having faith in their ability to handle situations.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about it that way. It's almost like we're kind of subtly saying, I don't think you're capable
Right.
when we jump in to fix things all the time.
Exactly. And even if our intentions are good, it can kind of undermine his confidence and that sense of autonomy.
So it's more about supporting him
Yes.
and letting him kind of figure things out,
Exactly.
even if he,
Yeah.
stumbles along the way.
Exactly. And the book stresses that this is often how men learn and grow.
Uh-huh.
They need that space to kind of make their own decisions,
Yeah.
even if it means making mistakes.
It's all part of the process.
It is.
Right.
And it's a process that builds resilience and confidence.
Speaking of space, the book also talks about giving your partner space in a more literal sense, right?
Yes.
That was the part that really intrigued me.
It did.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the book argues that allowing him to pursue his own interests, his own passions, can actually strengthen your bond.
That seems so counterintuitive.
It does.
You would think that spending more time together would be the key to a stronger connection.
You would.
How does giving someone space actually make the relationship better?
Well, the book explains that when you give each other space to recharge and pursue those individual interests, you both come back to the relationship feeling more energized
Oh.
and fulfilled.
So it's about avoiding that codependency
Yeah,
and maintaining a sense of independence within the relationship.
exactly. It's not about being clingy or demanding all of his time. It's about trusting him to have his own life
Uh-huh.
and knowing that he will come back wanting to connect with you even more.
It's almost like absence makes the heart grow fonder, right?
It is. It gives you both a chance to miss each other,
Right.
appreciate the time that you have together.
Yeah.
Even more. And the book draws a parallel to attachment theory,
Okay.
explaining that secure individuals are comfortable with both intimacy and independence.
Makes sense.
And this sense of security allows them to thrive in relationships without feeling threatened by their partner's need for space.
I can see how that would make a big difference. You know, if you're constantly worried about your partner needing space, it's going to create tension,
It will.
insecurity in
Exactly.
the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the book emphasizes that giving each other space is not about neglecting the relationship,
Right.
but it's about fostering individual growth, which ultimately benefits the partnership as a whole.
So it's all about finding that balance
It is.
between togetherness and independence.
Exactly. And that balance looks different for every couple.
Uh-huh.
What matters is communicating openly
Right.
about your needs and finding what works for both of you.
There's that communication theme again.
It's huge.
It seems like it really is the foundation of everything.
It is. The book stresses that open and honest communication is essential for building trust,
Right.
navigating conflict, maintaining that strong connection.
It makes so much sense.
It does.
Was there anything in the book that surprised you
Oh, yeah.
or challenged your previous beliefs about relationships?
One thing that really made me think was the book's emphasis on accepting your partner for who they are,
Okay.
flaws and all.
It's easy to fall into that trap of wanting to change someone.
It is, especially when we genuinely believe it's for their own good.
Mm-hmm.
But the book makes a really strong case for accepting your partner as they are without trying to mold them
Right.
into your ideal version.
It's about loving the whole person,
It is.
not just the parts that we find convenient
Exactly.
or appealing.
Yeah, and the book explains that trying to change someone often backfires, leading to resentment and distance.
Yeah.
And it's more effective to focus on appreciating their strengths
Uh-huh.
and accepting those imperfections.
I think that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, you know?
It is.
We're so conditioned to believe that we can fix things or
Yeah,
make people better.
we are. But the book offers a different perspective.
Okay.
One that emphasizes understanding
Yeah.
and acceptance
Wow.
over trying to force change.
If you had to sum up the core message of keep his heart in one sentence, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the book's central message is that lasting love is built on understanding, respect, and genuine connection,
Okay.
not on manipulation
Right.
or trying to change someone to fit our ideal.
Yeah. It's about authenticity,
Yes.
vulnerability,
Yes.
and meeting each other's needs in a way that feels true and fulfilling.
Exactly. And the book provides practical tools to help you do just that.
It sounds like it goes beyond just relationship advice.
It does.
It's almost like a philosophy of love.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's an approach to relationships that emphasizes intentionality,
Okay.
kindness, and a deep understanding of what makes a connection truly magnetic.
I love that. It's about creating a love that not only endures,
Yes,
but thrives.
it does.
You know, one of the things that resonated with me is that the book doesn't sugarcoat things.
No,
It acknowledges that relationships take work.
absolutely. It doesn't shy away from the reality that love is a verb. It requires action, intention, and a willingness to show up for your partner. Yeah,
Even when it's hard.
because it's not always going to be easy
No,
or effortless, is it?
definitely not. But the book emphasizes that the rewards of a strong, committed relationship far outweigh the challenges.
So it's about choosing love day in and day out.
It is. And making that choice consciously, even when things are tough.
That's such a powerful message.
It is.
It's about recognizing that love is a commitment, not just a fleeting feeling.
Exactly. And that commitment requires ongoing effort, communication, and a willingness to grow together.
Speaking of growth, the book mentions something about navigating external pressures.
It did.
What does that mean exactly?
So it's about recognizing that our relationships don't exist in a vacuum.
Right.
They're subject to all sorts of external influences like family expectations, societal norms,
hmm
even the pressures we put on ourselves.
That's so true. It's easy to get caught up in what other people think or expect,
It is.
especially when it comes to love and relationships. It is, but the book emphasizes that ultimately your relationship is between you
Right.
and your partner.
It's about setting boundaries
It is.
and staying true to what works for you as a couple.
Exactly. And the book offers guidance on how to do that effectively,
Okay.
how to navigate those tricky conversations,
Right.
prioritize your own happiness and well-being as a couple.
It's about defining what success looks like for you, not for anybody else.
Exactly.
Did the book offer any advice on handling conflict within the relationship?
It did. There's a whole chapter dedicated to turning conflict into connection.
Ooh, that sounds promising.
It is.
What were some of the key takeaways there?
Well, it starts with active listening, making sure you understand your partner's perspective
Okay.
before jumping in with your own. It also stresses the importance of managing your emotions
Okay.
and avoiding personal attacks.
That's crucial because it's so easy to let our emotions get the better of us in the heat of the moment.
It is. But the book reminds us that conflict is an opportunity for growth,
Okay.
a chance to understand each other better and strengthen the relationship.
So using conflict as a catalyst for a deeper understanding and connection.
Exactly. And the book provides practical tips
Okay.
on how to do just that,
Beautiful.
how to communicate effectively and find solutions together.
So it's about teamwork, not about trying to win an argument.
Absolutely. And the book reminds us that compromise is essential, finding that middle ground
Yeah.
where both partners feel heard
Right.
and respected.
It's fascinating how much wisdom is packed into this one book.
It is.
And we haven't even talked about keeping the spark alive.
Oh, right.
What did the book have to say about that?
That's a great question. The book dedicates a whole chapter to keeping the spark alive,
Okay.
even in long-term relationships.
Because, let's face it, it's easy to fall into routines and take each other for granted.
It is. But the book emphasizes that maintaining that sense of romance and excitement requires intention
Okay.
and effort.
So it's not about waiting for the spark to magically reappear.
No,
It's about actively creating it.
it is. And the book offers practical advice on how to do just that.
Like what?
Well-
I'm curious to hear some examples.
Okay. Well, it starts with prioritizing quality time together, even if it's just a few minutes each day. It's about making your partner feel like a priority amidst all the business of life.
It's those little moments of connection that really add up, right?
They do. And the book also suggests continuing to date each other,
Yes.
even after years of being together.
The 8 nights. I love that.
They're so important. It's a chance to break out of routine, have some fun, and reconnect on that romantic level.
Right.
And even small gestures of affection and appreciation can go a long way,
Okay.
like a surprise gift,
Yeah.
a love note.
Yeah.
Just taking the time to really listen to your partner, these are all ways to keep the spark alive.
It's about remembering to nurture the relationship,
Yes.
even amidst the craziness of everyday life.
Exactly. And the book offers a wealth of ideas on how to do just that. From planning romantic getaways to simply making eye contact across a crowded room.
Ah, that's so sweet.
It is.
All of this is so inspiring. It sounds like Keep His Heart is a valuable resource for couples at any stage of their relationship,
Yeah,
whether you're just starting out or have been together for years.
I completely agree. There's something in there for everyone.
It's a great reminder that love is a journey, not a destination.
It is. And it's a journey that's worth taking with all its twists and turns and triumphs.
Speaking of journeys, you mentioned a children's book called I Know I Can Fly, which also seems to be about overcoming challenges and achieving goals.
Yes. It is a delightful story about this little boy who dreams of flying and refuses to let anyone tell him it's impossible.
Okay.
And he's so determined, and in the end, he finds a way to make his dream a reality.
That's a beautiful message for kids, and really for anyone. It reminds us that we can achieve anything if we just put our minds to it,
It does.
if we're persistent,
Absolutely.
and believe in ourselves.
It is. And it ties in nicely with the themes that we've been discussing about love and relationships. Sometimes we face challenges in our relationships, but it's about staying committed,
Right.
communicating openly,
Uh-huh.
and working together to overcome those obstacles.
It's about having that same determination and belief in the relationship that the little boy in the book has in his dream of flying.
I love that connection.
Me too.
Speaking of the book, did you know they also have these really cool book bags on their website?
Oh, you mean the ones your kids love?
Yes, they're super practical.
Okay.
They're great for carrying books, toys, anything else kids need on the go, and they have a really fun design that kids adore.
So if our listeners are looking for a heartwarming children's book that also teaches valuable life lessons, I Know I Can Fly might be just the ticket.
I think so. It's a story that will stay with them long after they finish reading it.
And who knows, maybe it will even inspire them to reach for their own dreams.
I love that.
Just like the little boy in the story. This has been such a rich and insightful conversation. I feel like we've covered so much ground,
We have.
from the intricacies of adult relationships to the inspiring messages found in children's literature.
It's been a pleasure exploring these topics with you.
I always learn so much from our deep dives.
Me too. It's fascinating to see how these seemingly disparate topics can connect and inform each other.
It's all about finding those unexpected connections, those hidden threads that weave together the tapestry of our lives.
Beautifully said. And I think that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding.
I couldn't agree more. And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep seeking those meaningful connections in your own lives.
Because connection is what makes life rich and fulfilling.
And if you're looking for a great children's book that celebrates the power of perseverance and believing in yourself, be sure to check out I Know I Can Fly. You can find it at iknowicanflybook.com.
And while you're there, take a look at those awesome book bags. Your kids will thank you.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those hearts open.
And never stop believing in the power of love.
It's like you suddenly realize that taking care of yourself makes you a better partner.
Right. Not a selfish one.
Exactly. When you're investing in your own growth and well-being, it spills over into everything.
Yeah.
All areas of your life, including your relationships.
Absolutely.
You just have more to give, more energy, more enthusiasm.
Exactly.
Like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
That's a great way to put it.
You got to fill your own cup first,
Yes.
so you have something to offer to others.
Right.
It's interesting. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
The respect, the space, the communication, the personal growth, it's all interconnected.
It is. It's this holistic approach to creating a love that's not just about, fleeting passion,
Right.
but about one that's sustainable, fulfilling, and ultimately much more meaningful.
One of the things that really struck me in Keep His Heart was this whole concept of leaving a legacy of love.
That's such a beautiful idea.
It is. It's about creating something that endures beyond just the relationship itself.
Mm-hmm.
The values you embody, the example you set, the positive impact you have on others.
It's like your love creates this ripple effect, extends outwards and touches all the lives of everyone around you.
It does. It's about making the world a more loving place.
Uh-huh.
One relationship, one interaction at a time.
And it starts with being mindful of that ripple effect, right?
Us.
Recognizing that our choices and actions, especially in our relationships, have an impact
Yes.
that extends way beyond ourselves.
Absolutely. The book encourages us to see our relationships as a microcosm of the larger world,
Okay.
a place where we can practice compassion, empathy, and understanding.
Because those qualities, when nurtured and practiced, have a transformative power, don't they?
They do.
They can change our lives and the lives of those around us.
Absolutely. And that's a legacy worth striving for. I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Keep His Heart, Magnetic Love.
We have.
It's been such an insightful conversation.
It has. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of all the wisdom
Right.
and practical advice that the book offers.
It's definitely given us, and hopefully our listeners, a lot to think about
I hope so.
and to apply to our own lives and relationships.
Agree.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey
Yes.
of exploration and discovery. We hope you found this conversation as enlightening and inspiring as we have.
We believe that everyone deserves a love that's magnetic, fulfilling, and lasting.
Absolutely. And we hope this deep dive has given you some valuable tools and perspectives
Yeah.
to help you create that kind of love in your own life. Remember, love is a journey, not a destination.
That's right. And with a little intention and effort, we can all create relationships that bring us joy, support, and a deep sense of belonging.
Beautifully said. To our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those hearts connected. Until next time.
May your lives be filled with love, laughter, and the enduring power of human connection.